course, a happy Friday, everyone. And I'm going to give you a fun first quarter question for you when it comes to a recent, in fact, a pretty big, in all sorts of ways, big commitment for Alabama when it comes to the 6'6.5", 348-pound offensive tackle in Damieon George that committed within the last 36 hours or so to Alabama for the 2020 class. So my first quarter question for you, Damieon George will be a first-day starter for Alabama when he arrives on campus.
I'm not sure that he's going to be a first-day starter. I think that Alabama has full intentions of this young man being a part of the program down the road. He's virtually it looks like a do-over of my man. I just drew a blank on his name. What was the big, humongous guy that from Foley? Our right tackle in the pros.
Oh, was that DJ Fluker?
I couldn't remember DJ Fluker's name. DJ Fluker. Too many players in my head right now, but DJ Fluker, to me, he's another DJ Fluker type player. But just found out, James, he's only 16 and just turned 16. So if he were to be an early enrollee, he'd be enrolling at Alabama at 16 years old. And he's 6'6.5" already, 340 pounds. So I think he's more of a project for Alabama. I'm going to leave it at that. But I think he's a guy that they think that, hey, we can develop this guy and make him into a big-time player.
So then for the second quarter as a follow-up to the first quarter, Damieon George on the offensive line would be what the equivalent of Mount Cody 10 years ago on the defensive line?
In terms of size, of course, Mount Cody was a JUCO guy who came in and had immediate impact in terms of his contribution to the Alabama football program. But let me tell you something interesting I thought about when it comes to to Mount Cody the other day, and I thought this would be a good question. I just hadn't brought it up or put it out there. What great player from the past would have a hard time finding a place today? Think about that for a second. As dominant as Mount Cody was, would he even get on the field today? I mean, you know what I mean? At best, would he be a role player? And I know that's another topic for another time, but think about that for a second, James. Mount Cody, one of the most dominant players, would he have a place today? Would he be a coveted player right now? Because you think short yardage goal line, maybe. So anyway, that wraps up the second quarter. I'll toss it back to you.
So third quarter then, a couple of bowl additions and a subtraction, by the way, in the SEC bowl portfolio coming up as the SEC will now have the Las Vegas and Gasparilla Bowls in their SEC bowl postseason bowl portfolio, and out is the Independence Bowl, or back in the day, the Poulan Weed Eater Independence Bowl. So third quarter question, the new bowl kind of shake-up adjustments for the SEC, good for the SEC?
I think it's good anytime you can add more bowls. I know a lot of people don't like all the bowl games, James, but answer this. What was Nick Saban's first bowl game, if I'm understanding correctly?
Our good old Poulan Weed Eater Independence Bowl.
Okay, and what was our record going into that season, into that bowl game? 6-6, right?
6-6.
Did 7-6 make a difference to this program in terms of the way Nick Saban wanted to finish his first year?
I seem to remember Mike Johnson telling several times about how Saban told him to get a good look at Shreveport and told them it'd be the last time they'd ever be coming back to the Independence Bowl.
Right. So that bowl game that we dog when we're not there, and when you hear people say, man, it's just a wasted bowl game, what Alabama did was that 2007 team had an opportunity, James, to be a winning program, not 50-50, but to improve to 7-6. It gave Nick Saban another full month of coaching his team, another full month of implementing the process, all of that. So I'm a big proponent of bowl games. Now, I don't think you should be putting people in that, are 5 and 7. And that's where I have the problem. I think you may even lower the level. I would love to even see possibly, as a reward, possibly for even some of these other programs, maybe even to get an opportunity to have good records, James, and not in a bowl game. Instead of having, that would be the only thing I would change is if there is a lock-in with a league and they don't have enough 5 and 7s that you go to a, Conference USA and maybe pull a 8 and 4 team in that may not be going to a bowl game because there's no lock-in. So I think the bowl expansion is good for SEC because it gives them a chance to continue to build programs.
So for our fourth quarter question, the 3-point line's getting moved back in college basketball, and Nate Oates mentioned as far as just his pleasure at seeing that 3-point line being moved back to the international line, which, folks, is 22 feet 1 3/4 inches. What will be the new Division I 3-point line for this year? So not just for Alabama basketball, for college basketball. For our fourth quarter question, a good thing for the 3-point line to be moved back.
Well, I think it's more challenging. So it's going to be interesting to see the impact it has. What is it, moving it about a foot, James? About a foot back. So the question is, I think it's good for basketball. I think it's going to be interesting to see the marginal shooters that this impacts, because for some guys, they were at their range. And now, but there's other guys, the pure shooters, they don't shoot from the 3-point line anyway. They just shoot from behind it. 3 feet behind it, 2 feet behind it. So it's not going to impact those guys. What it is going to do, though, James, is what's the collective spacing? Why do you think Nate Oates likes that? Hey, I tell you what, James, let's talk about why Nate Oates, because we need to get to Pat here on the other side, and we need to get to break. Let's go a little overtime on the fourth quarter question. I think it's a good thing for college basketball on the expansion. But why do you think Nate Oates likes that move? Because he's looking for shooters, and that's going to make it harder because the line's going to be further. But why does a guy like Nate Oates think that that's better for his program? All right. Now, James, we're into an extended overtime. If you don't know what I'm talking about, our first segment is 4 quarters. James asked a question. The fourth quarter question for me was about Nate Oates. About the expansion of the 3-point line being moved back to international basketball. 22 feet and some change, a foot further. And my question, overtime question back to James was, well, why would Nate Oates, a guy who's looking for shooters, why would he think that that's a good thing? Why would he be excited about the 3-point line being a full foot further back? Because now that puts even more stress on his shooters.
Now, as you know, Martin, if our boy intern James Fletcher is in here, there would be 3 words he would emphasize to us as far as Nate Oates' offensive philosophy: pace and space.
Yeah.
So that's why, because you spread the floor out, and that exactly plays into what Nate Oates wants to do as far as having 4 guys out and 1 in, or 5 guys out, and that is including what you would consider your traditional 4 or 5 players having more of a role when it comes to having a perimeter jump shot and being able to put the ball on the floor.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The more space you create on the court for his type of offense, his up-tempo speed is an effective thing for him. So I know he's loving it, because especially with the new point guard that we just got, the transfer from Villanova, he's sitting there, he's going to have a new guy running it. You know, you got shooters like John Petty and a couple other guys on the team. So just the more space created. And I think we're going to play a little bit smaller ball up under him.
Yeah, and James, you're right. That pace and space. Two things. First of all, you get down. It gets down the court, and you're able to get spread out and set up just because you know where that line is. You pick up the line sooner. But to your point, space. But it also, interestingly, it also helps the big man if you have a traditional big man, right? I mean, if you have a traditional big man that is that one, when you go 4 wide and 1 big, and he's truly a big man, it increases his ability to have some one-on-one. And if you try to double team, now you have to come. There's a greater distance to cover. So if he has offensive skill set as a big man, and he's a good passer, that spacing has now created more space for him to operate, but it also has created more opportunities for him to find wide open receivers. And it puts now the flip side of that. Why would it potentially hurt Nate Oates? Because the other side is he says, they were number one. Buffalo was number one in transition points, which I think they averaged like 84 points a game, and they were number one in transition points. So he's a defensive minded. I know it's kind of interesting because we always think about his offense. Yeah. But if you listen to him, he wants to wear you down, right? I mean, does he not emphasize defense?
He sure does.
Defensive intensity and turnovers. And now, so does that hurt him? Because now he has to cover more space.
I don't know. I don't know if it necessarily will hurt him, especially if he has the guys. He wants to be a high tempo space guy, so he's going to be conditioning these guys for that aspect of it. So I think that also goes towards the defensive end. The better conditioning, the more you're able to run, the more you're able to move. But the thing is, you talking about the big man. When was the last time Alabama had a big man that had a complete offensive set of the game? Maybe Erwin Dudley.
I'd say more JaMychal Green.
JaMychal Green. I mean, that's been 10 years.
That's right.
And before him, Erwin Dudley probably would be the last.
You had Jamario Davidson and Chuck Davis.
But a true big guy, you're talking about those guys are 6'8", 6'9". Well, Jamario was probably 6'10", 6'11", but JaMychal and Jamario over the last 20 years, as far as big men with an offensive game being able to pass and shoot.
Yeah, and that's what Alabama's been missing. And supposedly Hawkins, right? He added 7 guys, so sometimes it's hard to remember all the names of the new people. But Nate Oates, I think once again, Alabama basketball, you have to be excited. Tim Redding adding a little bit of conversation to the thing. He says Oates is getting real shooters, not just flingers. His offense has a lot of one-on-one, and it gives them room to cut to the lane. So Alabama basketball, it seems like the stars are aligning and they're getting approved. Now we just need Jelly to get approved. Javon Quinley from Villanova. If that chip falls into place, the Nate Oates has been touched by the basketball gods for 2019, 2020. We'll see what happens with that.